The FIA Formula 2 World Championship returns this weekend to the United States in Miami. Welcome to round 2 of the FIA Formula 2 World Championship for 2026. And this is going to be an enthralling round after nearly 2 months away. What was technically our summer break here for the FIA Formula 2 World Championship. We are racing around the 5.412 kilometers of circuit that is the Miami Grand Prix. 23 laps come the sprint race and 32 laps come the feature race. This weekend is the first time that Formula 2 has raced in the North America part of the country in the championship's history. So how that will play out this weekend will be quite interesting indeed. These drivers now are about to hit the track for qualifying for the first qualifying session after 2 months. This is going to be good. And if you missed in Australia, Nicolas Solov was the guy to beat. He is currently leading the championship. The guy to beat Nicolas Solov after the feature race in Australia, as the drivers now sit in the pit lane. Rafa Kamara as well currently sits second in the championship. 18 points going the way of himself, Rafa Kamara. Green light is on at the end of the pit lane. 30 minutes of qualifying still to come in this one. It should be quite interesting indeed. These Formula 2 cars about to hit the circuit. 30 minutes of qualifying for these drivers to decide pole position for the feature race. And of course, if you're new to Formula 2 this year, reverse grid for the sprint race, top 12 reverse grid, must I say. And then of course we have a reverse, then it is of course feature race, which has been decided by qualifying as well. Welcome in, Harrison. Welcome in. As we get this now, what will be an enthralling F2 qualifying session underway. We'll take a couple laps here for the tyres to get up to temperature. The tyres that these drivers will be using are, of course, the super soft tyres and, of course, the soft tyres. So big degradation, very high degradation circuit due to the high speed flowing sort of corners that you do get around here. The nature of this circuit is very high speed. So expect a lot of degradation, especially around this circuit and the surface of the circuit as well. A very smooth surface. So you do tend to find that the tyres drain a lot easier. And of course, it is a very hot track as well. Nearly 47-degree track temperature here as well. So drivers will have to keep an eye out for that, as now they will be out on their first couple of out laps and trying to put temperature through the tyres and also trying to find a bit of clear space on the track. For the first time this year, though, we headed up to the World Feed in Sky Sports F1.
Comes to the longer race on Saturday, or the race on Saturday, the sprint, and then the longer feature race on Sunday. How much it went away over that 4-lap run, only Invicta will know. Considering we've had no running here, the first time a Formula 2 car has ever rolled a wheel in North America was this morning in practice, and the circuit is getting even hotter now. 58 degrees track temp, 32 degrees air temp. I've got a friend in Miami, not just down the road, actually not at the circuit, and he said words to the effect of "it's really hot." He placed the word "really" with something I'm not allowed to say on TV. That's basically how he said it. But it's super hot, super humid. Humidity was 70 degrees, now 35, but seriously warm out there. These are all the training that these drivers do over the pre-season, and then the gap that we've had, the extended gap, will be reflected in this weekend as well, because it's going to be pretty physical out there.
Yeah, well, if you're just tuning into F2 now, we've had one round down under in Australia, and then we of course had rounds coming up to Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. Those were cancelled, and there's been a lot of work put in by the likes of Bruno Michel, the event organisers, and the FIA to replace those rounds, so we have a 14-round calendar still in place. One of them being here at Miami, the next at Canada. Talking about tyres, Piers, they were all out on the medium tyres earlier. Now on the purple side, super soft tyres. So in a way, they're going into the unknown yet again in terms of tyres.
Well, they have no idea. The teams, again, they've been running simulations with their own simulators and their own simulator software on how they think the track is going to behave, how the car is going to need to be set up, and how the tyres are going to behave. But they don't know. And no one has run that super soft purple sidewall tyre there that you can see on Nicolas Solov's car. And he's run even less than pretty much everyone else as his car broke down. He only got one flying lap in that practice session earlier on, and it wasn't particularly fast. We're hearing rumours from the teams that potentially the super soft purple sidewall tyre might struggle to last that 6 laps at the start of the feature race. So they're going to go away along probably quite a lot over the stint.
Well, we didn't see much of him in practice. Your championship leader, feature race winner from round 1, Nicolas Solov, the Red Bull Junior. Let's talk about what he had to say about racing in Miami coming into the weekend.
It's very early, and if I have to be honest, I wasn't really expecting to be leading that early on. Obviously shows that the preparation we've been doing works very, very good. So I think that's the most important part. Obviously the brake has broken the rhythm a little bit, and it's very early on the season, but I'm just looking forward to keeping it up, keep staying consistent, and just score points. To come back from a day like Saturday for me was really important, because for me it's about how you stand up from a bad day, and that's what I managed to prove to myself, and obviously figure out how to get back on my feet. And that's why for me it was a big win mentally, let's say.
Yeah, Nicolas Solov 17th in the sprint race, and that came after a few incidents, but came back very well to go and win the feature race. And here is going to be his first real flying lap of Miami, Piers. Let's see what he can do. If Campos can get themselves within that top 10, which they reverse, I think they'll be very happy with that. But he's essentially going off what he's done in the simulation as we watch him on this flying lap.
Campos have very much established themselves as a front-running team, both in FIA Formula 3 and now Formula 2. And they would have been hoping to hit the ground running here this weekend with all the prep they've done ahead of the weekend, but a nightmare start, as we've spoken about. But Solov, we know he's a talented driver. You can see him sliding his way into that end of the second sector. That was on the entry of turn 13 and 14. When you head through this tricky technical section where low speed, you think maybe that means it's less important. Actually, the lower speed sections of the circuit are more important because you spend percentage-wise more time in each corner. So getting that little 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16 section right is going to be crucial to a good qualifying position. As we head down now to the biggest braking zone on the circuit, turn 17 of 19. It's like a pretty clean exit. This is going to be the first, sort of a foray into the unknown. All the drivers will be roughly guessing how much grip they've got at each corner. They'll be guessing those braking points. Solid purple in the final sector for now, but of course he is one of the first drivers over the line. Mini on this first lap, popping to the front of the field. Girth is slotting himself in there as well. We'll run you through the order after these first laps. Herta, who was fastest in practice, the North American driver, the American driver, hoping to bring something for the home fans as Rafa Kamara, your F3 champion, pops in first place and closely followed by his teammate. That's a big statement from Kamara, actually. That's quite a bit quicker than we saw earlier. Well, actually, that's about what we saw earlier, but considering the track temperature is a good, 10, 15 degrees hotter than it already was earlier, and these super soft tyres, they don't like it when it gets really hot.
Yeah, it was a 140.3 quickest earlier for reference, and Rafa Kamara has just gone and done a 140.4 ahead of Martin Estenchon, and here was a driver who was fast. Kashmini, let's swap to a Ronin Motorsport driver, Don, who comes across the line, second place for him. So these the banker laps coming in, Piers.
Yeah, 1 second away, 1/10 away from Kamara was done, so pretty close at the front of the field. If you didn't see practice, super close. It was only half a second from first to 15th place. That's how close it was. But Kamara, he was arguably not that high up. He was in 13th, a good 4/10 away. But let's run on board with Kamara. I don't think he's still on a flying lap. But interestingly enough, when I was watching back at Australia, Chris, the super soft tyre, as much as it's softer and the degradation is higher, I don't think it's a huge amount, or not in Australia, wasn't a huge amount faster, was it? When you looked at, Nico Baroni, when he popped on that super soft at the end of the race on the alternative strategy, he didn't start carving his way through, did he?
No.
But if anything, it was matching, was it the medium on pace, and then fell away after a few laps when the degs started to come in.
No, it's a good observation. And you might be wondering why we have different tyres. There is a necessary pit stop for the Formula 2 drivers coming the feature race on Sunday, where they have to run both the super soft and the medium compound. The pit lane opens after 6 laps. We'll see a lot of drivers go for super soft first and pit early in the race, but some may decide to put the medium tyre on go later in the race. We've seen this compound used last year at Jeddah and Abu Dhabi, and split strategies which won. So that's something I'm sure the team.
And I'm expecting at least a few drivers to try that split strategy, especially if you qualify outside of the top 10. Because also, with it being a street circuit, with it being the first time here, with it being dirty offline, the likelihood of a safety car is very, very high. Of course, no one knows because you've never raced Formula 2 here, but we use Formula 1 as an example, and also just the layout of the circuit. And when the walls are close, you're more likely to have an accident that requires a car being retrieved. And when we've got 22 of the best drivers, best single-seater drivers outside of Formula 1 in the world, all going side by side into a corner, inevitably, occasionally, they come to blows. But Solov, he's on another fast lap, so proving that they can actually improve on the second lap of these super soft tyres. Or I say that, a little bit of a commentary curse there, as Solov slides his way through the long turn 12 and loses a bit of time. He was quicker in the first sector, but I think it's unlikely he's going to improve in this middle.
Rafa Kamara has just gone purple through the first sector, meaning fastest of anyone, 34.3. And we're seeing a huge amount of personal best laps come through. The likes of Solov, Leon trying to catch up with the rest of the field. But likewise, Roman Belinsky, who are all 45 minutes behind on track time. But let's see Nikola Solov through this final couple of corners. Now the Campos Racing driver, who is making his way up to the start-finish line, currently down in P19. Let's see where this puts in 10th place. So that would put him on pole position for the sprint race tomorrow. But Kamara appears is going very, very quickly through the first sector.
Yeah, Kamara, we saw his speed in FIA Formula 3 last year. So many pole positions, and each time by a larger and larger margin in what was one of the most, if not the most competitive FIA Formula 3 grid we've ever seen. And he's taken a step up into F2 this year in the number 1 car with reigning teams champions Invicta. And he's looked confident. I must admit, he looked racy in Australia, and clearly he's got to grips with this F2 car pretty quickly, because he was one of the drivers that didn't opt to do a guest round or two at the end of last year. Whereas the likes of Van Hoopen and Solov didn't they? In a couple of rounds, they had a slight advantage in terms of that experience. But Kamara well up to speed already, and this session started well for him. And it just means that when you start the session well, ultimately, I think those times will almost certainly be bested that we're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen now. But if you start the session fast, it just means the pressure's off. You know the car's got the pace. You know that you're doing the right thing. You can just go out there and execute a lap. You're not going out there thinking, I need to find half a second. Where am I going to find half a second?
And it wouldn't be surprised to see drivers taking risks coming into turn 17 braking zone and to the heavy braking zones as well. That will be the pressure off. Here's Sebastian Montoya, someone who went karting for the first time just a few minutes away from this very circuit. A home race for him. Overall, 8 of the Americas drivers we have out there in a 22-car field. So there's going to be a lot of support for a lot of drivers, let alone Colton Herter. But you've got the likes of Montoya out there as well, Nico Verone. We've got him out there in P6, and he's already going along very well, the Argentinian driver for Van Amersfoort Racing, someone who want to use his experience to get up to speed quickly. Let's just quickly go through the top 10. It's Kamara, Dunn, Stenchel, Villagomez, Miney, Verone, Beganovic, who was pole last time out, then Bergson, Intrapumazak, and Colton Herter, P10.
Again, notice that half a second covers the top 10, and it will get closer. A second down to 16th place. And a reminder, you can lock up at one corner and lose 2 tenths or more. So that's how fine the margins are at the moment, and I think there's still more to come from almost all of these drivers. They will almost certainly have another set of the super softs, I would imagine, ready and waiting to go in the tip lane. They'll all come in probably around now. If they don't go for one more lap, they'll come in now. They may all go for one more flying lap on this set of tyres that they haven't flat spotted them. And I expect to see a lot more of this as well. Cars going slowly in the final corner. Cars backing themselves up, trying to get either a space or right underneath the rear wing or another car in front to try and nick a cheeky toe down the 3 long straights we have here at the Miami International Autodrome. And that's right on board with Martini Stenchel here. It's turn 1. We've seen a lot of left front lockups actually, both in the F2 practice session and the first practice of Formula 1 as well, as we cut off to go and now watch one of the Alpines. That is the number 9 there of Gabriele Mini as he heads down towards the second biggest braking zone on the circuit, 10-11. Expect to see overtaking off moves both inside and outside there in both the sprint and the feature races coming Saturday and Sunday, respectively, sliding his way through turn 13 into the 14, 15. Clumsy little chicane through there for these drivers. You have to jump over the curves and then get the traction out of 16. So down the 1.28 kilometre, 0.8 mile run, dead straight from turn 16 all the way down to turn 17. Now, interestingly, a bit of a different setup philosophy from some teams to others, especially the high-techs, Herta and Miata even more so. Very, very quick in a straight line, which says to me that some teams are going for a lower downforce option. Other teams, like the MP that we're looking at up to 10 of Goethe there, going for a higher downforce configuration where they're prioritising corner grip over straight line speed. And it's very much a give and take around this circuit, Chris. A lot of slow medium speed corners where, high wing angle, lots of downforce will help. Whereas you've got 3 long straights where skinny wings and straight line speed will help. So you can kind of play one against the other.
We see Noel Leon there looking to play catch up slightly. He's just put himself at 17th. His teammate Nicolas Solom in 11th. Lots of work has gone in from the likes of Bruno Michel and the rest of the team to get this event in Canada underway and possible. Let's hear what Bruno Michel had to say coming into the weekend.
Formula One has been developing quite a lot in North America over the last years, and now there are 3 races in the United States, plus 1 race in Canada, plus Mexico. So it was really important that we were starting to do that and to come and work on the American market, where there are a lot of young drivers interesting, and since they didn't see Formula 2 or Formula 3 racing here, they don't really get how the pyramid is working to get to Formula 1. So for me, it's really, really important that we're coming here and we're setting a precedent, and it's something that we will try to continue to do in the future. Because there are so many drivers and so many fans and Formula One fans now in this country, that I'm really happy that they're going to be able to see what F2 is and what F2 races are. So yeah, it's a great opportunity, and it's really important for us.
Great from Bruno Michel there. He's completely right. There is a lot of young drivers trying to come through in this part of the world, and that is demonstrated by the grid we have this season. Also, lots of new fans with new circuits added to our calendar, and there's always been a discussion about trying to make Formula 2 even more international than it already is, and I think this has been the case of that this season, and some of the drivers out there, particularly Colton, was mentioning earlier about hoping this could be a proving ground to have more races in this part of the world going forward.
When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. It's lemonade weather in Miami, isn't it, Chris? 58 degrees track temperature, nice 59, 32 ambient. Humidity is rising actually a little bit, 45% now, so pretty close out on circuit. These drivers, you saw they're having the blowers blowing on the drivers, keeping them cool in the car. They work up a sweat certainly, and with the radiators and cooling devices in either side pod, and then the engine right behind. The cockpit's quite a hostile place when it gets this warm. It's not much airflow, a lot of heat around you. You're working hard in the car. These drivers will be up at 160 beats a minute. They'll be breathing hard, but maintaining absolute focus while they're out on circuit. The wind speed, not a huge amount of wind out there, only a mile an hour or so, a meter per second or so. So not too much to worry about for the drivers, but as you can see, pretty much, in fact, everyone in the pits, you see on the left-hand side, all those Ps mean that they are in the pits getting a second set of this, what I would imagine the super soft tyres being fit, the purple sidewall. It'd be interesting to see if anyone gambles and goes for the medium sidewall tyres. Actually, we still haven't bested the times we saw from earlier on this morning. The circuit conditions have changed quite a lot since this morning, actually. They were the first cars out on circuit this weekend, so very clean this morning. We've had that running plus the 90-minute extended Formula One practice session, so the circuit would have gripped up quite a bit.
You can see Nico Verone on screen, the Argentinian driver, another Argentinian driver now racing in Formula One. Franco Colapinto was putting on a show for the fans back home, which was attended by 500,000 people. Let's see what Nico had to say about that and the support he's getting from back home.
Yeah, I think we're living in a moment where we are showing to the world what the Argentinian fans for F1 and for every sport in the world. Now with Franco in F1, it's been quite unique and crazy, you know, the amount of fans and the amount of popularity of one goal in Argentina. And that's why I'm also here in F2. You know, if that was not the case, I would not be here. So that gave me the opportunity to be here this season. And yeah, I feel it's great, you know, to show the world what the Argentinian fans are capable of doing, you know, to get the support for our drivers. And you know, maybe in the future to have maybe a Grand Prix or something, you know, I think it's great for the sport in Argentina, because it keeps growing up. Has been so far from Europe. I feel like it's always very difficult to have drivers, you know, racing in the feeder series and stuff because of how far is it and the economic situation. But this I think it shortens a bit, and maybe we'll have more drivers in the future, you know, around here. So I think it's quite cool.
Great to hear from Nico Verona. He's made the switch over from sports car racing with a real pursuit now to get into Formula One, coming into Formula 2 and going very well so far in this session, P6. We did talk about at the last round now, the last time he raced in single-seaters before this was back in 2020, and that was against a certain Piers Pryor, who was next to me in the commentary box.
Yeah, that was the last time I raced single seasons as well, Chris. He's out still there, smashing around circuits. Of course, in the interim, he's become world endurance champion.
Yes.
And won them on 24 hours. What have I been up to, Chris? Exactly. Just chatting rubbish about motorsport. But here I am, still chatting rubbish about motorsport. But it's okay because we're enjoying ourselves and looking forward to see the second part, the crunch time for all these drivers in this qualifying session. They've done a couple of runs on their first set of tyres. They've got a feel for it. They now need to basically perform. There's pressures all on this. And this is where these drivers either sink or swim, either thrive or fall away. And that's what the Formula One teams will be looking at, is situations like this. Limited practice, limited opportunity to prepare. 1 or 2 laps. I reckon that the first flying lap on these super soft tyres is going to be the one. We saw a bit of improvement from some drivers on the second flying lap, but history would tell us that the super soft tyre, especially in these hot conditions, is very much best when it's brand new. As we see Solov leading the field down round turn 17. Jumping on board with Herta now, fastest driver from qualifying, from practice, sorry.
Yeah, Colton Herta could recreate something quite special, really. We have not had a driver in Formula 2 on pole position on home soil since Callum Ilott at Silverstone in 2020. Could we now see that replicated by Colton Herta here in Miami? We'll certainly have the support of all the fans around the circuit to do just that. Just another quick one. Alex Dunn has got a 5-place grid job for the feature race, so that's something to keep an eye on. It's a rule change for this year that any grid drop penalties will not be served in the sprint race, but will be carried over to the feature race. And that was for his incident with Martinius Stenchel. But this was a great start to the weekend for Colton Herta. Fastest in practice as it stands. He'd be on pole position for the sprint race, so you've got to get inside that top 10.
Yeah, just look there pushing. Looks like they're doing a couple of cool laps just to bed these tyres in gently to then hit them hard when they eventually do go for a flying lap. But great start to the weekend, but dream start to the weekend for all North American fans, really, isn't it, Chris? Who's both an American driver and a Cadillac-backed driver as well. Cadillac, a very proudly American brand as well. Looks like everyone's still prepping. This is going to get busy. This little section here, I can see there's a lot of cars all together on the circuit. And they're all going to be looking for an ideal placement from the car in front. Some drivers will prefer to be closer, making the most of these long straights. 3 of them we have here at Miami. Other drivers will be looking for space so that they can have uninterrupted airflow over their wings through the medium high-speed corners of the first sector. And it's interesting to see how the different teams will play that as well.
Yeah, DRS zones down that run into turn 11 as well, and down that long back straight, and the start-finish straight as well. So there is going to be a lot of chances for overtaking. Well, here's the driver who got pole at round 1, Dino Beganovic. Let's watch him going on to this second set of flying lap fits.
First challenge, the big braking zone at turn 1. We've seen lots of front left lockups. Beganovic avoids that, makes the apex nicely through turn 1, which is just a positioner for turn 2, and then 3, which is pretty much flat out all the way out following the white line. And then we've got a little breather heading over to the right-hand side, which opens up the very technical 4 left-hander, 5 5, the right-hander, and then turns 6, 7, and 8 all go left, left, and left. We saw a few drivers getting caught out. Lawrence Van Hoopen and also Noel Leon both spinning at this corner at practice when the circuit was green, but no such issue for Vujanovic, who goes 1.4 tenths clear at the front of the field, the first sector at least. So faster we go, and it's actually faster than Solov. So Vujanovic on a good one. Can he replicate what he did down under in the first round of the season and take pole position? Solov pushing his way through the middle sector now into this technical final part of the lap.
Yeah, it's looking good for both Vujanovic and Solov. If Solov can get himself in the top 10 alone, that would be a superb achievement. But he'll want more than that. The championship leader who fought for the Formula 3 title last season, that looked good out of turn 16. And now comes this long run all the way down to turn 17. His teammate Noel Leon is in the background. Nicholas Solov making his way down to this heavy braking zone at turn 17, which can make or break your lap. Let's see what the Bulgarian driver does now as he comes out of this essential final corner, and it's now flat out all the way to the start-finish line. Will we see him moving up the order? Yes, he goes to provisional pole position, Pitt.
It looks like there are drivers who are going fast behind Vujanovic. Nico Barone, out to the top of the field. We were just chatting to him, but no. MP Motorsports Mini to the top now. Van Hoopen goes third. John Bennett into 10th place. Lots of moving around, and we've still got drivers going faster. Kashmini, he's been quick this weekend and this year for ART, wide out of the last corner. That may well hurt his exit. Where will that put him? Look at Dunn as well, the bottom right-hand side. He's purple in the middle sector and green in the first. Miney to the top, 2.5 tenths clear for ART.
And here is now Martini Estencio who goes on to the front row. Alex Dunn going very quick. P3 for him. There was a lot of changes going on in there. So your top 10 now is Miney, Estencio, Dunn. Will that change though? Because Kamara over the line, second place and only 33 thousandths of a second behind Miney. There are 3 drivers within half a tenth. Where is Oligatha going to put himself now as he comes out the final corner and up to the start-finish line? He can only go forwards, and he goes forward significantly into P8. A great lap from the MP team. But look how close it is. 3 tenths between the top 10. Less than a tenth, half a tenth. Appears between the top 3.
Kashmini, what a lap. He's been sort of there or thereabouts, slightly shooting under the radar. He was strong in qualifying, had a difficult couple of races, didn't he, in Australia? Didn't maybe get the results he thinks his pace deserved. He was there or thereabouts in practice as well. Let's not write him off. He was second fastest, only 1600ths behind Colton Herta, but then pulled the lap out of the bag when he needed to. He's not purple in any sector. He's not the fastest in sector 1, 2, or 3, but put his sectors together, and he was the fastest, only just though from Kamara. Kamara really taking a step forward since this morning.
It would be a first pole as well for Kashmini if he can do it, but he's going to have a tough task on his hands, fighting off the likes of Rafa Kamara. Stenchon looking very quick in Formula 2 already. Then Dunn, Mini, Verone up there in P6. Superb effort from him so far. Dirksen, Goethe, Van Hoopen, and Nicholas Solov is in the top 10, which is a huge accomplishment by himself, given he basically done no laps of this circuit, nor had the team Piers as well, and he got there in 10th place.
That's really impressive from Solov. He's basically come into this session without any practice. He's coming blind. He's literally, the team have also guessed with this setup as well, really. We've heard from the sporting director of Rodin in practice. It was an interview, and he said they're basically making guesstimates on the setup and then assessing it as we go. But let's have a look on board Herta. Not the start to qualifying he would have liked. That won't be helping. I think maybe that's why he's further down the order. That would have cost him at least 2 or 3 tenths. I see what he's
14. Let's have a look at what it is. Not at the moment, but
a big lock up for next time as well.
Wow, he was
third with that.
He was sliding into the corner as well. That was like watching him in a go-kart.
Wow, if that was the lap he finished 4th, then Dunn could have been a few tenths clear. That's that front left-hand outside tyre lockup that we can see so much of in F2 and F1. And down at turn 1, the track dips away just as you brake, goes slightly off camber, and if you put your left-hand wheel on the slightly less grippy paint, also means that you can lock that front left.
Well, Kashmini feels that is enough for him, and why shouldn't he? He's gone fastest. Let's see if anyone else can now take the fight to it. This is going to be their last opportunities, and Noel Leon is going personal best to the first sector as we watch Colton Herter now trying to get the most out of this on his final flying lap test.
Absolutely hustling the car through
yeah,
the first sector. Those corners are so long, the Pirelli
I'll do a
tires
stream,
absolutely
yeah.
scream and crying off through there. We now jump
Doing
into the
F1
watch
practice
more of
next,
the
and
three to
then
turn for the left-hander.
GT World Challenge Australia, then
Check
F1
by
Sprint
Brian Wall,
qualifying.
the curve a bit more, and then over track limits. I don't think that lap will be allowed, even if he does go faster.
Yeah, makes his way now down onto that long straight, and there is a yellow flag out. Wow. Smoke coming out of the back of Martini Estension's car, and he's going to pull over, and that'll be the session over. There's going to be a yellow flag out there. That will be no chance for drivers to improve. They weren't really anyway, but that is concerning for Martini Estension, who had just gone third fastest, and now there will be some work to do for him before we go into the sprint race. Well, for the feature race, though, it'll be Kush Miney who takes his first pole position in Formula 2 at 139.8. He used all his experience there, Piers. We've seen him in Formula 2 for a little while now, and he took advantage of that to put him and ART Grand Prix at the very front for the first time here in Miami, with Rafa Kamara starting alongside him on the front row.
Kush Miney's really deserved that. He's worked so hard over the years, oftentimes at the wrong end of the stick of luck, isn't he, is Kush? Struggled at the start of the year in the races. His pace has been pretty strong all season, but then
there you go. Kush Miney grabs pole position 139.888 of Rafa Kamara. Martini Estension in P3. Alex Dunn. Kush Miney. Veroni in position 7. Then Joshua Dirksen, Ollie Goethe, Van Dorn, and of course Nikola Solov, who will be on reverse grid pole position for the sprint race. Of course, still plenty more action still to come here from Miami. A packed weekend in terms of streaming. Here we've got F1 practice. It's on air next. Here, so F1 practice is next. Then, of course, followed by GT World Challenge Australia qualifying, and of course their first race. Then followed by F1 sprint qualifying, and to round out the day, the Australian F4 Championship will be on track as well over in Winton. So loads of variety, loads of fun. It's going to be quite exciting indeed. There is the man, though, here for Formula 2 on pole position. Kush Miney over Rafa Kamara. And, of course, Martini Estension and Alex Dunn. Your top 4. Roto Motorsport P3 and P4. That has to show something. Of course, Invicta, your reigning team's champions. So expect them to be up there. Of course, they've kept Joshua Dirksen. So it's going to be quite a strong lineup. Will Rafa Kamara and with Rafa Kamara and, of course, Joshua Dirksen. Very, very strong lineup indeed. But there is the man himself, the Indian driver, Kush Miney, on pole position. Very nicely done. Of course, nobody else was improving with that yellow flag. There is the Aramco pole position award. 139.888 goes to the Indian driver of Kush Miney. The ART team will be very happy with that. And, of course, it's an extra 3 points for pole position. There is Martini Estension with, of course, causing what would have been a red flag in that session. I'm going to guess his lap time will get deleted. There is Martini Estension, though. Would have started P3. I'm going to guess there will be a lap time. His fastest lap time will be deleted. I'm not sure what will happen there, but we will have to wait and find out we will see what happens with that one. But there is the car parked off to the right-hand side of the circuit down there, and the marshals immediately getting onto that as they will try to recover that car off the outside of the circuit. So there you go. Kush Miney, the Aramco pole position award, 139.888. Around the 5.412 kilometre circuit. Qualifying goes the way Kush Miney over the Brazilian Rafa Kamara, Martini Estension, followed by Alexander Dunn, and of course Gabriel Mini. Nico Verone, of course, then followed by Joshua Dirksen, Oliver Goethe, the Belgian driver, Lawrence Van Hoopen, and of course Nikola Solov in position 10. 3/10 off pole position on a 1:39 1 minute 40.1 for Nikola Solov, and will be grabbing sprint pole position. Dino Beganovic then followed by Intra Pazuviak in position 12. Noel Leon, Colton Herter, the American driver who had a chance for pole position. John Bennett, Maui Bayer, Tomo Miata, Emerson Fittipaldi, I cannot speak, Rafa Villa Gomez, and then, of course, Sebastian Montoya rounding out your top 20 cars. Prema definitely not looking as strong this year. Roman Belinsky in position 21. Chin Shields in position 22. For teams, Lucas Oil and AIX Racing. So that is it for the FIA Formula 2 World Championship. Kush Mining on pole position. And, of course, reverse grid pole as well being awarded in this one as well. The F2 sprint, though, it is first to come up. But up next, though, it's time for F1 practice. See you in a minute.
Local time here in Miami.